evening. Welcome to News at Night with Colette Linden. It's Monday, April the 26th.
I'm Craig Huckerby. It's a cold start to this week, and we have, believe it or not, a chance of flurries later on tonight. I'll explain just how that's going to happen in just a bit.
Investigation Services has now opened a fatal collision site which occurred this morning at 5:28 in the morning. Police were notified of a collision on Second Line West near Gooley Avenue where a vehicle struck a pedestrian. Unfortunately, the pedestrian succumbed to his injuries at the scene. The 700 block of Second Line West, just west of Gooley Avenue, was closed for a few hours so that the Sault Police Services could properly conduct the traffic investigation. They could be observed taking photos and measurements of the scene. Sault Online has reached out to the police and will bring you an update as soon as it becomes available. Police say they have charged a second man for his alleged role in a fire that killed 3 people in Sudbury. A 48-year-old man was charged on Saturday with 3 counts of being a party to first-degree murder, being a party to attempted murder, being a party to arson with disregard for human life, and conspiracy to commit murder. The charges come after a 25-year-old was arrested for the same offenses last Wednesday. Investigators say flames broke out at a residential building in the early hours of April the 11th. They say 4 people were inside the unit where the fire began, and a 37-year-old man managed to escape by jumping out of a second-story window. Police say a 26-year-old woman had died at the scene, and a 50-year-old man died in hospital. A 33-year-old woman who was critically injured in the fire died in hospital nearly 1 week later. Police say the investigation is ongoing and are asking anyone with information to come forward. The mayor of Brampton, Ontario, says the death of a 13-year-old girl in his city from COVID-19 is heart-wrenching and horrifying. Patrick Brown tweeted his condolences on Sunday night, posting a Globe and Mail article on the girl's death. A spokesman with Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board confirms that one of its students recently died from the coronavirus. The school board says it's focusing on supporting staff and students who have been hit by this loss. Bonnie Crombie, the mayor of neighboring Mississauga, Ontario, also tweeted her condolences, saying to lose someone so young to this virus is truly heartbreaking. Brown says in his tweet that we can never underestimate the seriousness of COVID-19 and the variants currently spreading in many communities. The Algoma Public Health reported 6 new cases of COVID-19 over the weekend, all from Sault Ste. Marie area. All 6 cases have been identified through close contact. As of this morning, the Algoma region has 49 cases, and 4 of those are from outside the Algoma region, with 2 people currently in hospital. Ontario is reporting 3,510 new COVID-19 cases and 24 additional deaths on Monday. The province reports a record test positivity rate of 10.9%, surpassing the mark of 10.5 from Monday of last week. There were 33,822 tests completed in the last 24-hour period, compared to nearly 47,000 one day ago. Ontario reported 3,947 cases and 24 deaths on Sunday. There are now 2,271 people hospitalized in the province due to COVID-19, with 877 in the ICU. Healthcare workers gathered at Queen's Park in a pop-up protest on Sunday and say they do not plan to back down until paid sick leave is a reality in this province. Premier Doug Ford confirmed the province would implement a program last week, but provided very little in the way of specific details. It remains to be seen when the new program will be unveiled. Health officials continue to argue that many of the patients ending up in hospital in Ontario are essential workers or family members of essential workers. Healthcare workers from Newfoundland and Labrador are expected to head to Ontario on Tuesday to help relieve a system buckling under the weight of a brutal third wave of COVID-19. In a social media post Sunday night, Premier Andrew Furey said he had spoken with Ontario Premier Doug Ford over the weekend and expects a contingent of nurses and others to be on their way soon. Ontario reported nearly 4,000 new cases of COVID-19 on Sunday, along with 24 more deaths, more than 2,100 people in hospital, and a new high of 851 patients in intensive care. The pandemic has pushed workers to the brink of exhaustion, says Furey was one of the first premiers to offer nurses and extra equipment to help. Toronto is expected to announce its first workplace closures today under the new rules meant to curb the spread of COVID-19. Public health units in both Toronto and Peel introduced the rules which allow them to shutter establishments where 5 or more workers have tested positive for COVID-19 over a 14-day period. Toronto Public Health said it was conducting investigations over the weekend and planned to announce which workplaces would be affected today. Peel Region announced its first 2 closures on Saturday. It partially closed 2 Amazon fulfillment centers, one in Brampton and one in Bolton. Peel Region could also announce new closures today, as it says it plans to update its list of affected workplaces each weekday at noon. Canada's most talented senior-age curlers will converge in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and battle for the 2021 Everest Canadian Senior Curling Championships, which was announced today by Curling Canada. The Community First Curling Centre will be the first to host the event in its new time slot in the Canadian curling calendar from December the 6th to the 11th of 2021. It is the same facility to host a portion of the 2008 Canadian Junior Men's and Women's Curling Championship. Last season's event was slated for Portage la Prairie, but cancelled due to the emerging global pandemic. Tom McLean, Sioux Curlers Association president, said that the Sioux Curlers Association is extremely proud to be named as the host organization for this event. It will be the third time the Northern Ontario Curling Association has hosted Everest Canadian Senior Men's and Women's Curling Championships. Most recently, Sault Ste. Marie hosted the 1998 edition with Saskatchewan's Gary Bryden and Ontario's Jill Greenwood winning their respective crowns. Before that, the 1989 event was hosted in Kenora and won by Jim Sharples of Ontario and Emily Farnham of Saskatchewan in the men's and women's events respectively. Sault Ste. Marie Mayor Christian Provenzano says the city is pleased to be named the host of the 2021 Everest Canadian Seniors Curling Championships and knows city staff and the tremendous local volunteers will work hard to ensure a memorable experience for attendees. Northern Ontario played host to the individual men's events in 1973, and Sudbury won by Manitoba's Bill McTavish, and 1965 at Port Arthur won by Manitoba's Leah Johnson. Sault Ste. Marie is no stranger to hosting Premier National Curling Championships. The city is most recently known for the role in hosting the 2010 Scotties Tournament of Hearts, where Jennifer Jones won her fourth of 6 Canadian women's curling titles. The 1990 edition of the Brier, the Canadian Men's Curling Championship, was won by Ontario's Ed Wereminch in Sault Ste. Marie. Everest is a funeral planning and concierge service rolled into a life insurance plan. The first event featuring the Everest name was in 2015 at Edmonton. Northern Ontario won the Canadian Senior Men's Curling courtesy of Skip Al Hackner in 2006. The women have now won 2 events in 1991, led by Isla Brown, and 1995 by Sheila Ross.
Well, we have a very tricky forecast tonight because we could see rain, freezing rain, or even, should I say it, snow, and some strong winds to boot. But the rest of the week, not looking all that bad. If you don't mind some rain and some warm temperatures, we will break it all down for you right after the break.
Drop by one of our 3 Sault Ste. Marie locations. You do life, we do taxes.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, we are going to see some pretty strong winds from the east-southeast tonight, dropping our temperatures just a little bit because they are from the south. So it's not like we're seeing some northerly winds, but we do have some snow in our forecast. This is the radar currently right now. This is a future radar showing us where we're going to be from now to about 9 o'clock tonight, and you can see this snow rolling in along with this rain and some freezing rain, all associated with just one low pressure system. This is this one low pressure system we have to worry about tonight, and then we have a couple more this week that we have to look at. We don't anticipate seeing any major accumulation or any accumulation at this point. It's just going to be snow pellets. And during the overnight, our temperatures are actually going to increase. So any snow we do see is going to melt. This is temperature-wise around Northern Ontario. Basically, we're all the same at the freezing mark. We're a little cooler at -1 just for a couple of hours. And then we see our temperatures boost up by the morning. So in the morning, we could be waking up to temperatures around 6 degrees. So that's not all that bad. We'll take a look at this at the conditions for tonight, temperatures 3 degrees for your evening. We're going to see some spotty showers, could be mixed with some rain and snow. Overnight dropping to -1. The winds will be the major issue tonight, just making it feel like a miserable night out there if you are heading out. As far as the systems map for tomorrow, we are seeing this push of warm air, which is going to give us those double-digit temperatures for the rest of the week along this warm front, but you can count them there. There's several low-pressure systems all going to take aim at the Great Lakes over the next 24, 48, 72 hours. We don't see any sun in our forecast until at least Thursday. For Tuesday, starting with some fairly warm temperatures, 6 degrees when you wake up, going up to 10 degrees for our day with pretty much all day rain in and out. It's not going to be a heavy rain by any means. Same story for Wednesday. We're going to see periods of rain, temperatures at 11 degrees. And then finally, we start to see some drying for Thursday as temperatures settle in at 13 degrees. For Friday, we see the same temperatures, just hovering around the same mark, around 10 degrees, which is just above seasonal where we should be. 13 degrees for you Saturday, and then another system just to wreck your weekend on Sunday. But temperatures still holding pretty nice. Next week, though, looking pretty nice after we get through this week, because we start seeing some mid-teen temperatures for our daytime highs. So that's something to look forward to. Also look forward to, Jacob Moore is standing by with some news on the NHL. Jacob.
Thanks, Craig. It was a busy weekend in the NHL, especially in the North Division. 6 out of the 7 teams hit the ice, and it made the standings that much tighter. I'll give you your update on the North Division, and of course, I got the rest of your sports coming up right after this break.
Don't click it, Mike. It's a scam.
Oh, hi, Voice of Reason. It looks legit.
Don't click. Listen to your voice of reason before you act.
I deleted it.
Canada.ca/bscamsmart can help.
The Toronto Maple Leafs were back on the ice on Saturday night against the Winnipeg Jets. Both of these teams really treated this game like a playoff game, and this is what we're expecting to see once the playoffs start. The Leafs were able to take the win 4-1. Jack Campbell made 25 saves on 26 shots, and he was a big difference in this game. Toronto Maple Leafs forward Joe Thornton spoke with reporters on how this felt like a playoff game.
Yeah, the guys, they competed hard. They're a great team over there, but yeah, I think both teams, will get comfortable in those types of games. But good hard-fought game. It's just two good teams going at it. Neither team wants to back down, and it was competitive 2 games. So we're happy to come out with the win.
First pitch on the way, fastball and a ground ball to second. Panik has it on to first, and the Blue Jays will win it. 6 pitchers combine on a 5-hit shutout.
The Toronto Blue Jays took a big step over the weekend, winning 2 out of their 3 games over the Tampa Bay Rays. The Jays were able to hold the Rays' bats to just 9 runs over the 3 games, including a shutout in the 3rd game. The Jays are now only half a game behind the Rays for second in the AL East. The Jays are off today, but they'll be back on the field tomorrow as they play the Nationals for a mini 2-game series.
Van Vliet. Siakam catch it 2-3, got it.
The Toronto Raptors were back on the court on Saturday looking to extend their winning streak to 5 games against the Nets. This game was really neck and neck until the 4th quarter. The Knicks were able to take over in the 4th quarter, winning the game 120-104. The Toronto Raptors are looking to bounce back tonight as they are playing the Cleveland Cavaliers. Every win for the Raptors is a must-win as they are fighting for that last play-in spot. Canadian tennis star Bianca Andreescu says she has tested positive for COVID-19. Bianca went to social media on Sunday to tell everyone the sad news. She added she won't be able to play in the upcoming Madrid Open. Andreescu said, "After testing negative twice before my flight, I was sadly informed I had tested positive upon arrival for COVID-19. She said in a statement, "I will not be playing in the Madrid Open later this week. I am feeling good, I'm resting and continuing to follow the health protocols and safety guidelines, and I look forward to getting back on the court very soon." There are now 2 positive tests at the Women's World Curling Tournament. The World Curling Federation said the initial positive result was discovered in day 0 testing during the pre-competition quarantine period last Friday. The second positive test was identified within the same team after they enhanced the testing protocols on Sunday. The World Curling Federation has tested all other teams and all other players, and there have been no new positive cases since those last 2 cases. Montreal Canadiens goaltender Carey Price will be out a bit longer than the team was hoping. Dominic Ducharme told reporters that Carey Price is heading back to Montreal to get further treatment on his concussion. The Montreal Canadiens originally were hoping he'd be back in the lineup early this week, but Ducharme said that is not happening. Winnipeg Jets forward Nick Ehlers is done for the rest of the regular season. Reporters spoke with Winnipeg Jets head coach Paul Maurice, and he could not pinpoint what caused the lower body injury. Whether it was a hit from Jake Muzzin or the pushing and shoving matches with Joe Thornton. Maurice is confident Ehlers will be back for the playoffs, but he is definitely done for the rest of the season. Calgary Flames defenseman Noah Hanifin is done for the remainder of the regular season. Hanifin left in the first period of the game, which was the Flames versus the Habs, with an undisclosed injury. There is no set timeline on when he will return, however, it won't be until the playoffs at the very earliest, if the Flames even get there. Toronto Maple Leafs netminder Frederik Andersen told media he's been dealing with a nagging knee injury, and this is why he has missed so many games. This is the first time since March 19th Andersen has participated in a full practice with the team. There is still no set timeline on when Andersen will be back in game action. However, this is a good sign for the netminder and the Toronto Maple Leafs. We had a very busy weekend in the NHL for the Canadian teams in the North Division. 6 out of the 7 teams played, so let's break down how the standings are sitting right now. The Toronto Maple Leafs were able to win over the Jets to increase their gap to 8 points in the North Division. The Calgary Flames won back-to-back games versus the Montreal Canadiens and are now just 4 points behind for that 4th and final playoff spot. The Canucks also beat the Senators last weekend, keeping their playoff dreams alive. They are currently 8 points behind the Habs for the 4th and final playoff spot. However, they have played 5 less games than Montreal. Stay locked on TV for all your updates on the North Division and who will make the playoffs. We have 3 games going on tonight in the North Division in the NHL, so let's break them down. The first game we have is the Calgary Flames versus the Montreal Canadiens. The Calgary Flames know they need to win this game if they want to continue to close the gap for that 4th and final playoff spot, while Montreal was still trying to win without their head goaltender, Carey Price. The second game on the docket is the Canucks versus the Senators. The Senators are still looking to just play spoiler and develop their team. They're going to have to do this without Matt Murray, as he could be out for the remainder of the season. The Vancouver Canucks, if they have any hope of catching the Flames or the Canadiens, they need to continue to win. The final game we have on the docket is the Oilers versus the Jets. These 2 teams are only 1 point apart between 2nd and 3rd in the North Division. Both of these teams are still trying to catch the Leafs, but it's looking more like a battle for 2nd than a battle for 1st. Well, that's it for sports, but don't go anywhere. Colette's got more news coming up right after this break.
The Ontario Fire Marshal was on scene of a fire yesterday morning where one person was taken to hospital. According to a family member Sioux Online has spoken with, the individual is currently in the ICU at SAH. At approximately Sunday morning around 8:30 in the morning, Sioux Fire Services was called to a fire in the 200 block of Wellington Street West for a fully engulfed structure fire. Upon arrival, a witness learned that the fire was visibly shooting out one of the front of the windows. Within moments, firefighters were seen pulling an individual out of the burning building. She was treated on scene and then rushed to hospital by the paramedics. The Ontario Fire Marshal was called in to investigate the cause, origin, and circumstances of this fire. Please stay with Sioux Online as we bring you more information on this fire as it becomes available. On Saturday, an emergency call during the dinner hour brought police, fire, and ambulance to almost the city limits. When they arrived at the corner of Trunk Road and Frontenac Street, they found two vehicles involved in a collision. One vehicle was left partially blocking the westbound lanes. The eastbound lanes were completely blocked by the other vehicle. Upon arrival, all occupants seemed to be out of the vehicle. City police forced traffic to alternate use of the center lane to get by while they investigated this collision. Stay with Sioux Online as we bring you more breaking news throughout the city. On April the 25th, officers with patrol services charged 26-year-old Megan Laird with break-and-enter. Around 2:10 in the morning, police received a call of a break-and-enter in progress in the 100 block of McDougall Street. Upon arrival, officers arrested the accused. A subsequent search of the area of arrest found the accused to be in possession of a set of keys, which was taken from the residence, and 8 bank cards that did not belong to her. She is charged with break-in-and-enter, theft under $5,000, possession of property obtained by crime, and 8 counts of possession of a stolen credit card. She is being held for bail court. She was also issued a provincial offences notice under the Emergency Management and Civil Protections Act. On April the 23rd, officers with patrol services and investigation services charged 24-year-old Christopher Rowe with impaired driving. At around 7:20 in the morning, police were notified of a possible impaired driver in the area of Wellington Street East and Brock. Upon arrival, officers located the accused asleep in the driver's seat of a vehicle with the engine still running. Upon speaking with the accused, officers developed grounds to believe his ability to operate a motor vehicle was impaired by drugs. He was provided a drug recognition evaluation to which he performed poorly. He was arrested. A subsequent search of the area of arrest found the accused to be in possession of a substance believed to be fentanyl and ammunition. He is charged with impaired driving, possession of a controlled substance, and possession of ammunition contrary to a prohibition order. He is scheduled to appear in court on June the 7th, 2021. National Indigenous leaders say the federal budget does not do enough to fulfill the government's 2030 promise to close infrastructure gaps in their communities. The budget proposes to spend more than $18 billion over the next 5 years to improve quality of life for First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. It promises $6 billion to fix everything from homes to roads, but National Indigenous leaders say it's still not enough to address essential needs. In an interview with CBC News, Assembly of First Nations National Chief Perry Bellegrade said that the dollars that have been identified are moving in the right direction, but infrastructure is a huge need on reserves, from housing to adequate water and sewage systems to infrastructure, from community buildings to roads and bridges. Bellegarde said the federal government needs to commit to sustained funding over the next 5 to 15 years to bring infrastructure in Indigenous communities up the same level as the rest of Canada. Indigenous leaders say they doubt the government's 2030 target is attainable without more funding to address the decades of neglect that have created a wide chasm in living standards between many Indigenous communities and the rest of Canada. Canada ranked 12th internationally in the 2016 United National Human Development Index, but the on-reserve population ranked only 78th. Some estimates suggest up to $30 billion is needed to deal with infrastructure gap in First Nations alone. Scarlett Scott, whose spirit name is Wazanunde Makuns, began her healing walk April 24th, 2021. The morning started in ceremony as the sun came up to prepare for the long road ahead of them. The smoke of the sacred fire danced in the morning breeze, and Scarlett's good friend Dylan led a prayer for the journey. Scarlett is making this journey with her spouse and 4 young sons. Their healing walk started out of Certain River this Saturday, where her spouse grew up. They will be walking over 1,400 kilometers over the next few months to reach their destination, White Dog, Ontario, where Scarlett is from. They will be passing through the Sioux in a few days, their family's home base for 5 years now, in a few days' time. Along the way, their family will be making offerings for those whose spirits are lost and wandering, and saying prayers for those who need healing. Scarlett was guided to do this healing walk across Ontario for the families that have been hurt and those who are affected by historical trauma, and to raise awareness for missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls to spirit. I need a point of clarification, Craig. You said it was sweater weather. You did not say it was snow weather.
Yeah, I know. See how I kind of left that out?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I
Explain
mean, the
that.
chances of snow coming in tonight and sticking aren't very well.
Okay.
Because we still have warmer temperatures, and our temperatures are actually going to warm overnight tonight. So
Good.
chances are, if we do see some snow in the next hour or so, it's going to melt. So.
Okay, well, from sweater weatherman Craig Huckerby and our sports analyst Jacob Moore, I'm Colette Linden. Thank you for joining us News This Night. Please stay tuned for more sports, news, and weather coming right up.